We are back at Proper Gamer Connect's London 2025 this time, and we are starting the day off with David Stelzer from Xsolla. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. We spoke last time. You had just come from a talk. You were talking about web stores and everything that goes with them. We'll kick off with the standard. What is it Xsolla does, just for those who aren't familiar?
Sure. I think I've been here about a little over a year now, and I think I have this a bit more refined in terms of the way we talk about it. So people used to really think about us as the payments company, and I think we've grown far beyond what is the payments company now. And the way I like to position ourselves is we're the payments company, but we're also the monetization company. And so when we talk about things, we're the monetization company, and what do? We help game developers and publishers make more money with their products, and then we help them keep more of that money that they make.
Gotcha. Well, we actually talked about the potential of web shops last year. You were in the talk of it, as I say. Since that's happened, we've had the European Digital Markets Act, which has come in to kind of prevent this sort of monopolization, the idea of two huge web stores dominating the marketplace. What's your reaction to that? Because this reinforced your position, I guess.
Yeah, it's been great because as that has come into effect, it's really legitimized the business around what a web shop is and the fact that it can be done. It was always talked about, and it was a way to kind of do a workaround from the stores. Now it's a legitimate way to actually do business. And we've seen an amazing uptick. I've upwards of about 30% an increase on income for publishers and developers by working with web shops instead of just working standard with the Google, Apple, and the other stores that they're bound to.
Now, is that just because of maybe the less commission, you don't have to pay that section to Apple or Google Play or whatever? Is that purely where the revenues come from? Or is it to do with other things like discoverability?
It's a little bit of both. The discoverability definitely helps. You have to remember that this is now, all of a sudden, you're able to have a direct-to-consumer relationship with your end user, where before you would put up an offer into the store in Apple or Google. If somebody wanted to buy something, they got whatever that offer was, but you didn't really get to kind of collect that data and have that communication with them. Now you can actually put campaigns through your web shop, and you can test those campaigns and see what's doing better and how your consumers react. And you can figure out how to give the consumer more value than what they would have gotten had they been in the standard shops. And by giving them more value, you hope that you've trained them to do more of their transacting in this web location. And the more transacting that happens in the web location, the less that you're paying that additional 30% tax to Apple and Google, and the more money that you're able to keep from what you make.
So it really is about incentivizing the end user, because the incentives for yourselves and the developers, platform holders are kind of clear. There's an obvious financial one, but there's also the data that comes with it. So is it really about targeting the offers directly to the consumers, and that's where the value lies? It's for them. What's the benefit that they see from using your store?
So for the consumer, it's really been this training type of thing, right? What we do is we've had to really train over this last year that you're going to play on your mobile device, but you're going to pay on the web. And that behavior pattern has brought them to this place of, this is where I play. But if I want to get the most value so that I can play longer and I can pay less, then I'm going to go over here to the web, and that's where I'm going to get the best offers. So it's a value proposition and this change of behavior, this mental change of like, I don't have to do my transacting in the middle of my playing. I'm going to move over somewhere else. And yes, it's an extra step, but I'm going to get so much more for doing it. And that extra value keeps them coming back again and again.
Do you see a future where this leads to people pulling their games or their apps from those large main stores entirely and relying exclusively on web shops? Or is it always going to be a hybrid situation?
I mean, it really depends on what the future of those stores hold, or alternative stores that pop up. There'll be questions around, will it be easier to do a web-based distribution? I don't think that that's the near term, but that's something that you could see. My web shop is directing you to the game you like to play, but hey, also here's some other things that maybe you didn't discover, and here's how you can get them. If you can make it easy and put less friction in it, where it's not hard like side loading still is, then maybe you'll get to that point eventually. But I think still the easiest way to get the game distributed to you and onto your device is through the app stores.
Where do you see this going when other territories? So let's say the US, because the idea of alternative payment methods and web stores is a very familiar concept in the East and MENA region and places like that, much more so than it is in Europe exclusively, where we're all just standard conditioned to go to Google Play, let's say. things are changing legally in the US as well. Do you think there's a shift towards this kind of thing over there?
Oh,
Or?
absolutely. We're seeing growth, like incredible growth in this area altogether. In the last year, we've helped onboard over 400 web stores, and those web stores are doing incredibly well, and we don't see this process slowing down.
And once kind of this has kicked in 100%, once everybody's kind of adopted this idea and we've got a proliferation of web stores there, do you think that's going to cause more friction, more problems with the consumer? Because at the moment, maybe there's a couple, there's only a few they're dealing with. If the consumer has to go to a different store for every single game that they play, is that not going to cause a different kind of issue?
I don't think it's going to be a different store for every game because we still have a lot of consolidation, right? Where a publisher may hold, 10 different games that people are playing, and that's not really taking you to 10 different web stores. So it may take you to the EA web store, and on that EA web store, you can just go into the game that you want from their library. So I don't think that that's the issue. I think the big thing you're going to see is how does UA and attribution start to change over time, as how do you start to push that through your web store funnel along with your traditional store funnel and figure out what is doing better for you and how.
Gotcha. And when it comes to new things on the horizon, 2025, we're at the beginning of the year. We're only just started. We're fresh. What do you have in mind going forward? Are there new initiatives you're planning to launch or things you've got to roll out?
I mean, that whole funnel that I'm just talking about, I think is going to be really important. We have a new integration with AppsFlyer.
Okay.
And we think that having AppsFlyer as an MMP that's kind of built into the system of what we built for web shops is going to be a real strong way for the publishers and the developers to more smartly spend money into those web shop UA funnels. They'll start to see the effectiveness of them. As they see how effective they can really be, they'll start to push more money into them. And so I think you'll see web shops growing bigger and bigger as the attribution methods become more solidified, I'll say.